Hey, Nate here with Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, and today we're going to be discussing creating non-player characters from the Dungeons & Dragons, or DMG, 5th edition. And with me I have...
I'm Ted.
Dave.
And I'm Ryan.
So, what do you guys all think about the creating NPC section?
It's actually a great section, and the most important thing that I took away from it, and especially for, you know, our new DMs out there, is there are 7 types of NPC, pretty much. You have the monster NPC, the NPC party member, you have the contacts, you have patrons, hirelings, and extras, and they all serve different roles in the game.
I guess you could even say an 8th would be like your villain. Like, so you have monsters that are like the low-level thugs or whatever.
Yeah, villains as well.
But I think the villain's a whole nother, like, it's its own video.
Yeah, I think so as well.
So yeah, there's that. But yeah, like the Bond villain, the mastermind behind the puppet strings.
The thing I like best about this, like, if you're creating, you know, a major important NPC that's crucial to your story, you probably already have a feel or an idea of what you want to do with them. But if you want to try and fill your world with characters that have real stories, real life going on, but it's not important to the story, you can use the charts that are in here.
Just grab your 2d10s or whatever dice, or the d20s,
you know, and you can flavor people to put into your story. You know, you got a random guy in a bar, and you can just roll, and okay, here's somebody that's random, and you know, it'll give the player something to connect with.
You know, you have prep time for your sessions, but you can also set aside just game prep time, right? So where you just go to this table and you make a stack of index cards, you know, or open up a file on your computer, however you like to save the information, and just have a collection of them ready to go. So, you know, during the game, if you're not good at improv and you don't want to slow it up, but like with all these dice rolls behind your DMG screen, and like, what are you doing back there?
What is going
well, I mean,
on?
you can always just pull an NPC out of your butt, like, just like, oh, this guy's gonna talk like Sean Connery, and you know, he's gonna be obsessed with finding this thing, and he's delusional.
But
some
if you're
people
not,
aren't good at that.
if you're not good at the improv, here's an easy way to make characters that are memorable, unique, and interesting.
No, true enough.
Bingo.
True enough.
And, you know, with the 8 different types, even though we're not going to specifically do villains, it's important to note, like, you could absolutely, right, have someone that starts off in your game just as an extra. What's an extra? They're just in the background. They have no stats. They have no traits. And, you know, they
maybe
somehow...
they're a member of SAG. Maybe they're not.
Yeah. they somehow go from being an extra to a hireling because you just grabbed, you know, a kid out of the crowd and go, hey, I need you to run an errand for me. Here's a copper, right? And they do it, and, you know, that can become like a recurring character. Well, all of a sudden, you know, for whatever reason, that character becomes a NPC party member who's traveling with you guys. And then perhaps you guys treat him bad, or you allow him to be infected by lycanthropy. Now he's a monster NPC, and he's really pissed off, which makes him a villain.
I'm just gonna say, as soon as he goes and gets a line, then you have to pay him more, because like in the contract, which kind of how it is, he gets one line.
And his life was entirely changed just because you wanted to go have him run an errand. You said, hey boy, random kid on the street.
You totally ruined his life.
You ruined his life.
You now exist and are infected with lycanthropy.
Yeah.
So
5 years from now, it's not going to be a good thing.
and all of that can happen, you know, with the charts and the things that are in here. And if you're not good at improv, if you get just, I mean, maybe you are and you just get stuck and you don't know how to fill that in. There's plenty of charts. You know, you can look at, you got appearance, their ability scores, what kind of talents, mannerisms, how do they interact with others, what are their ideals, what are their bonds, their flaws, and their secrets, and all of that.
Well, let's be clear on certain things. And I've done this for years. Like, it says make 10 sentences that describe an NPC. I've usually done about 3. When you say ability scores, you don't mean ability scores. You mean
a physical description.
Yeah.
More or
Well,
less.
I mean, this one says, you know, like, okay, what is their high ability? What is their low ability?
Right. That doesn't mean
Did you
ability
automatically
scores.
fill in like 18 and 8 or something?
Yeah.
Well, and
I mean,
hopefully in your world, your NPCs aren't going to be as good as your heroes. So, you know, hopefully the high score is like a 13.
Well, I mean, you could have someone who's like, well, it's the blacksmith, so he's got a 15 or 16 strength because all he does is, you know, beat on steel all day, and there's no
But
problem.
his
with
fighting
that.
style is...
But he's not a trained fighter. He doesn't have the high dexterity and whatever else.
Or the elven sage who's 300 years old. He probably has a high wisdom and intelligence.
He knows a thing or two about a thing or two.
But that's not going to turn him into an adventurer. The adventurers are a
Hobos
cut
with
above.
shotgun.
they're a cut above the average person, and they have the training and the knowledge to be able to leave town and be able to go do whatever.
Yeah. No, I think they're just greedy and capitalist, like super capitalistic, like entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurial would be the term I would use.
Yeah, they're all self-made business owners.
Right. Yeah.
They're gonna go beat up the story and come back with the loot.
Yeah.
So some of the important things about this section of the DMG is I like the fact that they break down and tell you about the different kinds of NPCs to put in your world. So you have your adventuring NPCs, which I hate. I don't like any character that has the ability to take away from the story from my players.
As GM, I don't like to run them. I don't want to have to worry about what this guy's doing.
Yeah.
Like, I want to run all the other. You have to juggle a 4-ring circus as the GM at any other given time to worry about actually giving an NPC any sort of depth and character on a consistent basis and worry about his actions in combat. I don't want to do that.
That being said, sometimes the story will call for it.
Yeah.
Sometimes something will happen, and it just makes sense.
Here's a pro tip, GMs out there. What you do is you hand that character over to someone who's very familiar with playing that type of character class, and like, hey, buddy, will you run this for me? There you go. Yeah.
Well,
like,
actually, that's what they recommend you do.
You can have the player at the table do the combat, and then you just do the role.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like one less numbers thing to worry about for sure.
But it also states, if you've got a small group of people at the table, that you need to bump up the numbers a little bit.
I've been in games where GMs have done it spectacularly, and I've been in games where it's been handled not so well.
Let's go with the worst example is the GM that actually wants to be a player. So he puts a character in, and like it's so lame all the time. Like it's clearly what he's doing, and the character's always better than the rest of the party, and it's just super.
My early days of DMing, I did exactly that. I was a teenager. I didn't really know the real intricacies of Dungeons and Dragons, and every DM
you guys need some help. Here's Captain Awesome.
So every DM at that point in time pretty much did it. So I did it as well. And as I evolved as a player, and especially as I years later evolved,
you're like, oh my god, all those years ago I was such a jerk.
Yeah, basically. But I mean, back then it was more about let's just go kill stuff than it was about the legit role playing.
Well, another really important section in here is contacts, and in 5th edition, more important than any edition previous, because the background features put into the game, a lot of them create contacts. And even though I didn't have the DMG, I actually did this for one of my players because they had the criminal background, so they needed a contact, and that actually came up in our last game in a kind of big way.
Ryan's character in my game, he has a contact
who is yet to come into
and I've been remiss in that using that particular character. So it's something that I gotta make sure that happens.
Well, I mean, as my character's like getting ready to set up his shop and get all that in order, like that contact is going to come to the fore again.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that is going to become more important because you now are completely established. You have a place that you're going to reliably be at on a regular basis, so he's got somewhere that he can meet you regularly.
Now, the other kind of NPC, this one comes up in games a lot, and DMs have been using them forever as a plot hook and a story device, and that's Patreons. And that's basically just a guy that pays you to do stuff, or you do things for, gives you a reason to adventure. Hey, go save my daughter. She's been captured again.
Or go find a spare orchid for me.
I've got cash.
That could be, you're all in a thieves guild or wizards, tower, and this is your quote unquote master. Or it could be just that's an ongoing thing where it could be just hey, I'm hiring you for this one quest.
Or he could be the mayor of Gryffindor that keeps rewarding you for doing stuff.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you have to pull his ass out of a snow globe. Stuff happens.
Sometimes shit gets weird.
Yeah. Hirelings is another one. Nodwick, or that peasant boy we were talking about who we pay to go do something. Or in my space game, you had three of them.
3 retainers that I treat horribly.
Yeah. If we go back to using the loyalty score, which is an optional rule in here.
I hope we don't do that.
Thankfully, you have a high charisma.
My charisma is super high, but when they're like scrubbing the calluses off of my feet and massaging them, Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be needing to replace those often.
Yeah, my character's whole shtick is just being horrible to his hirelings. You know, it's like the Kif and the Zap Rennigan sort of relationship. You know, he's got to be abusive or it's just not funny.
So,
But some of the stuff you do is it's funny. It's not necessarily like, oh, I'm beating them with whips.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's just a great.
Although, you know, I was thinking too, what would be great for the Oath Paladin, if he took the Noble Knight background and his retainers were all like undead, and then like, you know, Bob, go lay in the grass or whatever. You like have them lay out of the town, just so they'd be like super ineffectual undead. They just carry crap forward, and they happen to be like zombies or skeletons.
And they don't care if you treat them badly
because those
are mindless.
they have nothing better to do.
Yeah, exactly. They're just kind of hanging around.
What if like their spirits are loosely still connected to their bodies, and somewheres in some other plane they're like, oh my god.
Or not only that, I was also thinking like maybe there are people that you did wrong, like maybe you got them killed or whatever, and so they like minorly kind of haunt you just a little bit, and so they follow you around, and you're like, hey, you know what? Since you're here, why don't you carry this shit? Yeah, you just start strapping backpacks to them.
And your sense of style is horrible. Wear this hat.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to keep this on off.
Yeah.
You know, so in a nutshell, I mean, that's everything from the DMG and not, because there's just so much in here for you guys to just add to your game. I actually are probably going to sit down with some dice in this section and just make a stack, because I don't always like to improv everything. I like to have stuff there.
And yeah, the fantastic thing again, like it's a matter of like 3 pages or something like that, but like endless possibilities.
Absolutely,
like just get you started.
And it's really cool that really their suggestions are things that I've always done. You know, you write down a couple things about you know, a non-player character that you can pull out of your butt when you need it, and that's kind of what I've always done. Yeah. Or even during gameplay, I just jot notes, and as they become more important, you just keep adding.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as your DMing style, you always say, you know, start small and work out. There's no point in making a full character sheet for every single NPC that you're going to encounter. As players interact with a character, and he becomes more integral to the story, you build on that.
Keep a pencil nearby, and I just add that crap down.
I GM out of a notebook. You know, I'm still old school, and as players do stuff, I make notes. As I do more with a character, I'll put down different things that happen.
I do as well, but not because I'm old school, but because we record our sessions off of my laptop, which I would normally run from.
Right.
So I'm forced to. Now, we had gotten a comment not that a few months ago from someone talking about being a new GM, a new player, and I think they were running the starter set or maybe one of the adventure paths, and they're like, am I doing this wrong because my players keep wanting to interact with my NPCs instead of going on an adventure? I'm like, no, it's actually perfect.
You're doing this horribly. Why are you doing this? They should just be killing monsters all the time. Killing monsters, stabby stab.
I'm like, no, that's awesome. If you're introducing NPCs that they constantly want to come back to, you're doing something right. Just write, you know, take some notes as the game goes on, and I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Your material is going to stretch out so much further.
Yeah, it stretches out all the crunch that you've written for sure. And it's, you know what, you're doing the thing in your game that an MMO, you know, or a computer game is never going to be able to do. The AI is never going to be as adaptive as a real life GM running the game, you know, and that's what makes tabletop role playing special.
NPC to PC reaction is the bulk of what a role playing game should be. I mean, granted, you know, PCs are going to role play with each other, but they don't. While they interact with the story, they don't create it. So it's that interaction between the player and the NPC that moves the story along and changes what's going on. So like that is ideal. And if your characters out there that you're creating are so compelling and so interesting that your players are going back to you time and time again, you know, then you've got something special.
But not only that just creates opportunities for more role playing, more story, you know, adventures in the future involving them. You know, what you're really getting you're getting a huge buy-in from your players, and they're also really immersing themselves in your world.
Yep.
Right. If they don't care about any of the characters that are around them, like any of the NPCs, then you're going to have a hard time dragging them into the plethora of adventures you're going to run or want to run because they don't give a shit.
Yeah, or you know, they're setting up the adventures for you. You don't even got to think about it. It becomes a no-brainer.
Right.
Exactly. If they really like the barkeep, well, guess what? The barkeep's been kidnapped. Well,
or his daughter, or whatever.
You know, they're going, okay, let's rush to the aid because we care about that guy.
Yeah, or thieves are extorting him. Or,
they're invested in that player, that non-player character. Yeah.
So I think that's a wrap for non-player characters.
So final thought: NPCs, use them.
Yeah. There you go. That was very profound, Ryan. Thank you.
Wow.
Often and early.
Often and early.
So with that, click like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah, you can hang out with us on Facebook.
Or nerdarchy.com.
Or check us out on Reddit.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.
nerdy.